Let's take a look at the first Locke study questions or review questions. First questions from Locke's second treatise of government. Number one, Locke says in chapter 1 that we, quote, must of necessity find out another rise of government, another original of political power, and another way of designing and knowing the persons that have it. What does he mean here? Well, what he means here is that after rejecting the notion that political power, political authority, legitimate governmental authority comes from God, comes from above, through some complicated idea of having given it to Adam in the book of Genesis and the Old Testament of the Bible, and then it being handed down through a particular family. He rejects all that as a way of legitimating government. So we have to find another way. That is, if we're going to believe that there are such things as legitimate governments, rather than just people who have power, like the prince in Machiavelli, but legitimate governments that not only rule, but have the authority, have the deserve to rule. If we're not going to legitimize their rule through some kind of theological, religious approach, then we have to find another approach, which is what the book is all about. Right? Number two, how does Locke define political power? Basically, the power of making law. Somebody can give you an order. Go fix the stove. Sweep the floor. And, okay, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. But if I do it, okay, I do it. And if I don't do it, then I don't do it. But political power is the right of making a law. If somebody says, go fix the stove, and I say no, they can't throw me in jail. Right? That would be a violation of my rights. But if someone says, you need to pay a certain amount of your taxes, or a certain amount of your income in taxes every year, and this is the amount, and I don't pay it, then I can be punished, right? It's the difference between, lawmaking authority is what gives basically governments the right to, force citizens to do certain things. But that's not extortion like it would be if individuals did it. If the mafia comes along to your shop every week and demands a certain percentage of your income, that's extortion because they don't have the right to do that. That's just power. If the government says, well, you got to pay a certain percentage, and if you don't, you'll either be fined or jailed, well, that's different, right? And Locke is looking for the origin of that difference. Number three, Locke claims that, quote, the state of nature has a law of nature to govern it. He does say that. What is this law? Very important, that no one should harm another in his life, health, liberty, possession, something like that. But basically, we all know, he's saying, that it is simply wrong and that we should not harm another in any way. There are exceptions, self-defense, whatever, trolley problem, whatever we're talking about. But generally speaking, we know that that's a rule that binds us. How would Hobbes respond to Locke's claim about the law of nature? He would, I think, simply reject it as nonsense. There's no such thing as this kind of law. The only law of nature, perhaps, is the law of self-preservation, which is really just selfish. He would reject this idea that all of us know that we should not harm another. This whole idea of the state of nature being a state of war is really, it was incompatible with such an idea of a law of nature. So this is a real point of contrast between Locke and Hobbes. Finally, number four, in Locke's conception of the state of nature, who has the authority to enforce the law of nature? Well, we all do. Every individual does. No special office or no special person. That everybody has the right and the obligation to enforce the law of nature in the state of nature, because there's no cops, there's no judges, there's no courts, there's just us.